While we're now seeing big whale institutional investors becoming bullish and getting on the Tesla stock bandwagon, there are still some big naysayers and short sellers, believe it or not. Hopefully they don't lose their shirts. We have Steve Wise of Short Hills Capital trashing Tesla, saying Robotaxi is a field of dreams. But then on the other side of his mouth, it's a crowded space. He then accuses Elon Musk of being on drugs. Elon responded to this. Second, we have Jeff Kilberg of KKM Financial, who sees the stock jumping to $400 in short order, and Piper Sandler with her own overweight rating and $400 price target. Third, while these guys get it, there are others who still very much doubt what they're calling the self-driving hype. Got Larry Goldberg here joining us today. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you. Great to be here, Herbert.
Love it and appreciate you joining us, Larry. So let's get started with this. There's this great video, Steve Wise. He's a short seller, and he's just attacking Tesla, attacking Elon. Starts off with a couple of statements he makes. One is robotaxis are a crowded space. How it's weird how it's a crowded space, yet 99.99% of humans have never taken a robotaxi ride. Tesla's about to make a hailing a robotaxi not only possible, but affordable for the masses. So let's listen to kind of this roundtable group talking about how they think of Tesla. And then in the second half of this video, he comes on and says his point.
Ask you about Tesla. Huge month for Elon Musk and this company. Robotaxi is supposed to start in Austin. Is this a real inflection point for this company, or do you think there's still that quote-unquote cult of Elon that's going to continue to invest in this stock and believe in this company?
So I'm going to be very authentic and very humble here, and I'm going to tell you a lot of times people will come on the network and just pretend to know something about everything. It is such a complex story surrounding this company, and I spoke about this on Monday, and what I said on Monday is I don't have the ability, because the strategy that we're implementing, it's rules-based, it's non-discretionary, and we look at a universe of 500 stocks. If I could say, let's look at a universe of 499 stocks, I would do it, but I would have to change the SEC prospectus, and that's a big process to do it. I can't do it, but if you have discretion, I just don't understand. Look, it's a great company. He's a phenomenal innovator. He's one of the best business person in the world, but there's such complexity to understanding how you navigate the volatility. And just when you think the volatility simmers down, no, it reemerges once again. So I don't know, it kind of overwhelms what is maybe a technology story related to Tesla itself. And it puts me in a position where I'm almost uncomfortable speaking about it because I feel uninformed.
It's not like you, Joe.
No, but I do. You feel uninformed speaking about it because you just don't know.
You're a lover of Tesla or you're a hater.
But you don't have to be. That's a choice. But can I run something by you? I run it by everybody.
I actually don't think it is.
You don't think it? I mean, that's such a visceral reaction.
You could hate it. Not just because of all the things that Joe talks about, because as a fundamental investor into why I want to own this company, it can be rather difficult to navigate.
You can't own because of valuation.
I'll tell you what, if it's love or hate, tell me who's right. So Piper came out, reiterated overweight, $400 price target. Then Guggenheim came out reiterating sell 175 to 170. Directionally, who's right? Is it Piper or is it Guggenheim?
Here's what I'd say. This does not trade in fundamentals. It never did. It's always expensive. It's
fair.
A capital-intensive
We talked about the cult of Elon.
It's a capital.
But is it 175 or 400, Weiss? Which one's closer?
Look, I think that you've got enough sycophants and people that have posters of Elon Musk on their wall that just want to buy the stock and just don't pay attention to fundamentals.
All right, because Snipe, 400, 175.
Hold on, let me just finish. So if you took Musk's name off this and put somebody else there, and Musk is a story, granted, you'd say capital-intensive company, allegedly a CEO who can stay away from illicit drugs, right, where the board, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, was going to conduct a search. There's nothing going for it. Robotaxis are a crowded space. They don't have the front edge there. Robots are a crowded space. They don't have the edge there. So what are you going to do?
All right, right? So neither for you, in all fairness. Snipe, 400, 175. Which one's closer?
I think it's 400. I mean, again, to Joe's point, it's a very difficult story to understand in certain respects. But if I just kind of look at it simply, his refocus back on the business, I think, is an important catalyst. So I see it going higher.
Shannon, you said it was love or hate. I'm going to let you go. 400, 175. Which one's directionally closer?
I cannot opine on that.
All right, fair enough. Restrictions, compliance and restrictions.
So weird, too complicated. Or the sycophants? Are we sycophants? Just believe it no matter what.
Well, I may differ from some of our colleagues on this. I treat Tesla the way I would any venture capital request that comes my way. I don't treat Tesla as a mature publicly traded company. I treat Tesla as a set of startups, and I evaluate each startup within this set of startups. When you evaluate a startup, you don't apply some of the measures that you would apply to a mature company. You never apply the measures that you would apply to a mature company. You apply a set of evaluations as to opportunities and the risks. And so these are people who are opining on a subject that is not in their field of endeavor. The fact that Tesla is a publicly traded stock is an accident of history. The fact that people buy it as a publicly traded stock is an error of that fact of history. It's not, I won't say an error, it's an incident. Incidents. It arises because of that accident of history. And it's truly an opportunity, one of the few opportunities the public in general have to buy into a venture capital type stock. So the fact that it's public is this accident of history. The fact that it is evolving like a venture capital, like a venture early investment venture opportunity is, I think, a plus for those people who want to take that level of risk. And I would just issue a set of warnings to people buying Tesla stock that it is that type of stock. And you can prognosticate about its future, but it's very hard to actually develop a really serious set of analysis that will bear real investigation. So everybody's off base because they're trying to treat it like a publicly traded stock. Now, the fact that some people talk about Elon taking drugs and so on and so forth is just, that indicates that there's not really rigorous fact finding taking place. But aside from that, I go with what that young lady was saying, and that is she's not equipped to evaluate it because this is not the type of investment she's making. And I would add a warning to say to people, Tesla is not an investment like a common publicly traded stock. You must treat it as a highly speculative venture opportunity.
Yeah.
That's my response.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic way to describe Tesla. That is why a couple of those guys just kept saying, I don't get this company, or they'll say too much noise. And the noise confuses me or makes me afraid to get in because I just don't know what's going to happen. This guy comes out and he says, Elon's on drugs, Robotaxi is a dream, and it's a crowded space, both robots and autonomous cars.
Well, I wouldn't concentrate on what he was saying because he's talking his book. The guy's obviously short Tesla. He's talking his book. I would ignore that. I don't want to get. I don't want to get into that because it's what he's framing is simply legend on the street, and that's fine. And that's that's the short side of the argument. The long side of the argument is the guy just says Elon's refocusing on it. I've done an analysis of Tesla. I've taken some of the parts, which is what Dan Ives does, and he's and so has, by the way, Morgan Stanley's done a really good job of taking some of the parts, and it's a sum of venture capital of ventures. It's a sum of early stage ventures. The car company is not an early stage venture, but the car company has reached a level of maturity, and the company has pivoted. Tesla as a company has pivoted from that venture into, embodied AI from what they've learned of that first venture. So pivots are standard practice in venture investment. There's almost no venture that I know of that has been single-mindedly and pursued that single-mindedness. And even if you take one of the greatest ventures of all time, Google, I mean, they focused on nothing but search. But look at that company today. They had to rename the company to Alphabet to encompass all the things that it does. And it's not a mistake that it chose Alphabet because it's all 24 characters of the alphabet. It's in so many different fields. So Tesla is a mid-stage auto company with a lot of, really, incredible technology that they have invented to change that industry. But it's more importantly a venture in two fields, both encompassing, embodied AI. So to try and evaluate it using standard measures, public company measures, as our good friend Gary Black would do, I think is just a mistake. And it's correct for him to get out of the company at this point because it's no longer fits within his criteria.
Nice.
And that would be the right thing for people who are looking for, dividends a la Apple or Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yep. Understanding the stock, understanding the business, that's a good point. It is a good thing for Gary Black to leave the company. It's no longer in his purview. He thought it was an auto company. He was following auto. He was disappointed that they didn't get the Tesla, the Model Q, which is going to be the $25,000 car. And then he doesn't see auto growing anymore. So he doesn't see a future. Fine. I just think it's funny when you have these people like Steve Wise who'll say, oh, it's a crowded market. It's there's nothing special. At the same time, it doesn't exist. These things don't even exist yet.
I don't criticize him for that. I mean, what Gary says is absolutely correct. What Wise says is, except for this business about the Dutch, but what he says about the company in general is absolutely correct. As an auto company, you cannot value it much more than $80 to $100 if you're being very generous. But what Elon did realize as he was building towards that 20 million, 30 million car auto company was that autos are a dying business. Cars that are driven by the public are no longer saleable or will no longer be saleable in this new world. When the car becomes a robot, a self-driven car. And so he's made a pivot. As he makes the pivot, people who were naysayers of the auto company find themselves vindicated and, are excited about the fact that they're vindicated. Others who realize what the pivot has been and has seen the pivot happening, even as he struggled to get self-driving onto the road, have understood where he's going, and more importantly, understood the upside of the opportunity. There are some people who say that upside is not there because everybody's going to do it. Well, that's their judgment. That's a fair judgment to make.
Yep. I like the way you're describing all this. It's a very good, sober, but also very accurate point. Clarified a few things. I like that very much for people to understand how to look at Tesla. And, the part that you agreed with is that, the comment about Elon can't stay away from illicit drugs. That's kind of quite a hit. Elon said this. He replied to this saying, just another short seller crying in the casino. Let's assume for a minute that I am on drugs. I definitely am not. This sad case is saying that I'm kicking his ass while I'm wasted. So Elon did have a very good response to this. Whenever somebody keeps happening. They keep accusing Elon of being on drugs. And his response was, I'm not on drugs. I had publicly said that I was on ketamine years ago to handle depression. But if I was on drugs, just think about it for a second, he said, right? I am the most followed person on earth. I have so many meetings. I'm running so many businesses. I'm on a meeting after meeting after meeting. And when he was on Joe Rogan and he took that puff on air, because he's part of SpaceX, he was then subject to random drug testing for 3 years. They didn't find anything. And so it's like, it's if he was on drugs, he's doing a really good job of somehow hiding it. But he's definitely not. But he goes, hey, if I was, I'm kicking his ass while I'm wasted. Yeah. So I'm glad that he keeps addressing this because we need to just shut this down, but it will keep on coming.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we say and it doesn't matter what Elon says. If people want to sell this stock short, they have to keep this legend going. Mm-hmm. There's so many legends about Elon that if he's on drugs, then he should keep doing that because, my God, he's building the most incredible set of businesses we've ever seen anybody develop. And I've studied Edison, and Edison had the sense of technology and he had an incredible scientific bent, but he was never able to implement it he didn't build a sustainable enterprise at the level and at the speed and at the level of profitability that Elon is building on so many fronts. It's just incredible. And there's a reason why he's the wealthiest man in the world. And there's a reason why he's going to be, 3 times this wealthy in a given period of time. There's nobody who's had this sense of product, of, first principle physics, and of this instinct for the future. So, let's acknowledge his brilliance and move on.
Yeah, I'll have what he's having if I could.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my, it's great. Okay, so there are people that recognizes what's happening here. We are starting to see more and more institutional analysts jump on board, and we're going to see a rash of price targets increasing because, again, we're brink of launching Robotaxi. We're seeing the signs; it's real. So here's Jeff Goldberg, and we'll watch him talk about what he thinks. I think it continues to be a buy. If you're short, you're really going to get in trouble. I just bought a 2026 Model Y and used FSD for 350 miles, and I was blown away. I had a lot of anxiety doing it, but after about 5 minutes, I was comfortable. I was a combustion engine guy for a long time, but now I'm a Tesla owner. This is it. So much, and guess what? This guy has been talking about Tesla stock for years. Now he finally buys one. Now he finally gets what the car's like, and he finally gets what FSD's like. That's a big difference. Let's listen to him.
Tesla are higher for a 4th straight session, albeit 1% today, but it's up 16% since Friday as the shares recover from the impact of that public feud between Musk and President Trump. Musk now publicly expressing regret for some of his social media posts about the president. And this all comes as the Robotaxi event has been pushed back. It's now scheduled for June 22nd, according to Musk on X, out of an abundance of caution. For more on the stock and drama of it all, let's bring in the Wall Street Journal's Tim Higgins and KKM Financial and CNBC contributor Jeff Goldberg. I'm going to start with you, Jeff, so you can boil it down from a share point of view, because I'm just curious if you see this as a buy or a sell moment for a stock that Interactive Broker says continues to be probably its single highest volume name.
I think it continues to be a buy, Kelly. If you're short, you are really going to be in trouble here because you're seeing momentum. But this has been sensational. Let's go back just a couple weeks ago. President Trump was giving Elon Musk a key to the White House. And all of a sudden, you saw the most public slap fight of all time and went nuclear on Twitter. And now the richest man is all of a sudden being, looking conciliatory, and President Trump is maybe going to kiss and make up. So as we see this rebound, as we see the Robotaxi event, yes, being delayed, we are optimistic. I think it goes back to where it fell from at 350, but the next leg up is back to 400. So shorts are on the run.
All right. So, Tim, I turn to you.
Thoughts on his comments?
There you are. There's nothing like experiencing Tesla's full self-driving to convince you of the way forward. My wife was so skeptical of this whole Tesla story and so on and so forth. But today, she's a convert. And why? Because she famously would not drive at night. Certainly for the last 5 or 10 years, she just doesn't trust herself at night. She doesn't trust her sight at night. Now she goes out in the car on her own, no problem at all, because she has such trust in that vehicle day and night. And she drives 100%, 100% FSD when she drives. And she's had one takeover where the car itself warned her to take over. That's it. So, the car sells itself. And when you in the car and it sells itself, you realize where the company's going. And that's what sells the company. Nothing sells the company better than that FSD experience, that first FSD experience.
Same thing with my own wife. She, during all this noise that's happening now, her reaction is very different than it used to be. Now it's like, she's confused. She goes, I'm confused. Like, don't they know that this car is much better than any other car? Like, 'cause she's driving it now. And don't they realize that this car can drive itself? Because she's basically every single day we've been using FSD for 4.5 months, no interventions at all. And she just can't understand. And so she is comfortable as a stockholder realizing that, this is noise, this is signal, and just stay the course. And before, she would very much always be concerned about these headlines that she's reading, and because she's now on her own, seeing it with her own eyes and seeing it. So that's what people need to do. And whenever you hear somebody talk about Tesla, that's the key first question is, have you seen the car? Have you tried FSD? Do you know what we're talking about? Or are you just saying something because you're evaluating a company you didn't experience yourself?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to take some time, but man, when robotaxis really roll out globally, the impact's going to be incredible, just incredible.
It's when consumers hail a Tesla Robotaxi, it picks them up and drives them. That's when it's going to be much wider than just you and I picking up our own friends and they get to see what this is about. That's happening. But imagine when it's like every day you have, 20 rides in an hour or in 4 hours. It's crazy how many people will go, my God, this thing's amazing. So Piper Sandler, and they also have an overweight rating. Take a look at this. And $400 price target. This is what they said, Alexander Potter. Driverless Tesla seen in Austin. Just as new car prices start rising, there were two developments in our coverage that warrant special attention today. Driverless Teslas have been spotted on the streets. These may seem like unrelated data points, but they're not. See below for our rationale. Bottom line, a key component of our Tesla thesis has officially begun playing out. Okay, we expect the stock to sustain upward momentum in the coming weeks as more information is disclosed pending any high-profile robotaxi accidents, which would be likely be met with violent downside. So there we go. Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. Alex Potter has been one of those analysts who've understood the Tesla story from the beginning. Through all the vicissitudes of the stock, he's understood where Elon's mind is, where the company is, where we're going. Look, in the company itself, there was a huge debate as to the future of the company. And that debate wasn't always in favor of where Elon was taking the company. Mm-hmm. We learned about that through Walter Isaacson's book. But even when Elon agreed, yes, we'll make the cheaper car, in his head, he was thinking, we'll see about that. And, you have to give Alex kudos for understanding what is happening in the company and what is happening in the market and where the company's going. So, 10 out of 10 to that analyst. He's got it right.
Nice. Okay. There are naysayers, and there's people that are, being dragged along the ride here. Yeah. Here's guys, Van Henrik. He's a trader. I think, I don't really know his background, but he has, I think, 500,000 followers. And he posted this: I really don't get the self-driving hype. I like to drive. I like driving.
Look, a lot of people like to drive. A lot of people will continue wanting to drive. A lot of people will continue driving. There's no question. The market doesn't really consist of one guy's preference. The market consists of a very wide range of use cases.
So I get this all the time when I'm talking to people, especially like a year ago, before AI hype started getting high, AI understanding of the power of AI. They would go, I don't understand. I'd like to drive. Omar's, I thought, had a great answer. He goes, so did the 40,000 Americans who died doing it last year. Right?
Well,
and then
that's true.
Sendo Palani, who's I think he's not the chief financial officer, but one of the top financial executives at Tesla, said there are a lot of folks who do not, however, and others who would like the option. Driving recreationally is very different than driving out of necessity, for instance. Most importantly, autonomy will reduce injury and death and improve efficiency, time, and energy. Lots of reasons to embrace the hype. Good answer.
Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant answer. That guy must be an analyst.
But for Tesla. So this is part of the reason why there is a hype is it's something that we've been talking about for a long time. This is 2014. That's 10 years ago, I guess 11 years ago. And Elon said this at the time.
At some point in the future, like maybe 5 or 6 years from now, I think we'll be able to achieve true autonomous driving where you could literally get in the car, go to sleep, and wake up at your destination. But in order to do that, you have to have fully redundant systems. Everything's got to be redundant so that any one system breaking does not result in an accident. And you also have to prove that out over millions of miles of driving. And then, of course, then we have to prove that to the regulators to convince them that it's safe. And so I think from the point at which true autonomous driving is possible, which I now think is probably in the 5 or 6 year time frame.
You said that before, though, 5 to 6 years, yeah.
A couple of years ago, I thought it was more like 10 years, but based on the rate of improvement that I'm seeing and the progress we're making, I think we'll probably be able to do it in 5 or 6 years. And then, but it's probably still going to take 2 or 3 years after that before the regulators approve it, because they'll want to make sure that it's truly a lot safer than driving with a person. And the standard for fully autonomous driving is going to be much greater than for a person.
Right.
Because if it's just equivalent, that wouldn't be enough.
Great. Now, so of course, he's been saying that since 2014. He said 5 to 6 years, and then maybe 2 to 3 years after that. That's 8 years or 9 years, and we're 11 years. So we're delayed, but we're talking about self-driving cars. But I guess the point is that he's been talking about it for so long, a decade ago, and that's where people go, it's all hype or it's not true. And here we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to also acknowledge that from year to year, he said this year it's going to happen. 2 years ago, I was getting concerned, really concerned, because there was a period starting 2 years ago where we weren't seeing an improvement, any degree of growth in that curve or growth in the slope of the curve. And so I was getting really concerned, and then we saw the end-to-end, and it took a while to get the end-to-end. We saw the paper on the end-to-end neural nets, and then it took a while for that to happen. But my gosh, the current version and the improvement between the previous version and this version was so great. What is exciting is to see what the next version is going to be like. And by the way, Senil Palani is the VP of Finance at Tesla, so he's quite a senior guy. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about where we are at this moment, and I'm pretty excited about how consistent, it's been in terms of the last couple of releases, and I'm very excited to see what the next release is. And I'm very excited to get to Austin to try it as soon as it's ready.
Yeah, you and I have to go there. I have to go there. This is it, right? We've been talking about this for so long, and we need to be there to experience the very first public, commercial, paid Robotaxi ride. Elon himself, pretty excited. So here I played that video. Tesla owner Silicon Valley posted this, and then Elon replied to it saying, and here we are. Here we are. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate you very much. Please follow him on X at Tesla Larry. He's regularly communicating with Elon. Sometimes Elon loves you, and then sometimes Elon says, "I don't like what you're saying."
That guy
called you that guy. Yeah. It's good to be part of the conversation and to evaluate what's going on. Appreciate you, Larry, very much. See everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.